Oh, hey there. Just a little surprise one because we're going to catch up with Skylar Gwynn, who is riding across America or some insane nonsense like that to defend women's rights. Hello, Skylar. How are you doing?
Hey, Graham. It's so
I,
good to see you.
I expected to see you on your bike. Why is that? Why is that not happening? Where's the
Uh,
hog?
well, we tried that with Benjamin Boyce, and the traffic noise made it so he didn't get any good footage. But we didn't intend to try that. We got stuck on the road with a broken down bike, so we had to do
Right.
the interview from the bike, and it was just too noisy.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah. Okay, no worries. Well,
hotel room it is.
hotel room it is. Okay, so where are you now?
We're in Orlando.
Orlando. Okay, sorry, I'm skipping ahead. I'm skipping ahead. That's not. Can you explain to people who may not have seen our previous interview what you're up to?
Ooh, my. Uh,
I know
well,
it's a long way back to the start of this, but
it really
let's.
is. That was 6 months ago.
Mhm.
Um, Basically, we are traveling coast to coast across America, um, picketing the pediatric gender clinics that are sterilizing our next generation. We're trying to save our future. You know, we're sterilizing children, and that's not okay. So, and also we're picketing them because they're, amputating healthy body parts from children.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
this honestly devastated me. It
Yes.
devastated me. I'm a grandmother. you know, I
Yeah.
saw my granddaughter yesterday, and she's 7, and I cannot imagine what it would be like to, have her suddenly be told that she's actually a boy, and then have her start, sterilizing herself.
Yeah, and that's how it goes, isn't it, with children? It's not children telling people their real sex; it's adults telling children what they think their sex is.
I'm
Uh,
trying to think, what is that thing? A trans child is like a vegan cat.
a vegan
We
cat,
know who is
yes,
making the decisions.
exactly, exactly. There's a
Yeah.
there's an American comedian who ambushed Rob from Peep Show recently, um, and his wife came into the bathroom when the child was 4 and told the child that some women can have penises. And the child, who was 4 years old, said, "That's
I
me.
saw
That's
that.
me." Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's abuse. It's abuse of young children. That's basically what it is. Um, so what kind of? Actually, I'm kind of curious. I think I might have asked this last time, but what kind of bike do you have, Skylar?
What kind of bike? Oh, I've got
Yeah.
a Kawasaki Vulcan 900.
Jesus God, couldn't they have come up with a cool name?
Hey, I love that bike.
I bet you do. My God.
All I
And
had before was a 600. It wouldn't have made the trip.
yeah, yeah. And how are you organizing this? Are you just kind of do you have a list of these clinics and you're kind of hitting each one in each state? Is it that simple?
Actually, what we have, Joy and I are just the tip of the iceberg.
Hmm.
Picture an iceberg. You got this tiny tip at the top, and then you got your water line, and then underneath it, you have this huge block of ice. We're the tip. The
Yes.
women behind us, they're the iceberg.
Yeah. Yeah.
All these
Good.
women, there are so many women that are working hard every day. Because, see, this is out of my skill set.
Yeah.
I'm an artist. I'm a hermit on the side of a mountain. I'm just an old lady on the side of a mountain that said enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I had Joy, who read what I was doing, used her life savings to buy a motorcycle to join me,
You're
you
kidding
know,
me.
just to make sure I could do it.
That's amazing. Is
Because
Joy
she
there? Can
knows
Joy wave?
she is here. You want to come and
You
wave?
want to give us a wave, Joy? I always like to
She-
put a face to a feminist.
well, well, we're kind of
Hi,
keeping
Joy.
her.
Very nice to meet you. How's it going? Thank you for everything you're doing for Skylar.
She said, "Thank you for everything." She can't hear you because you're in my
Oh, I
ear.
see. Of course, of course.
But yeah, this young woman, the ride wouldn't be. I would probably not be able to get further than maybe Washington in one piece if it wasn't for her.
Yeah.
So,
right. But what
yeah.
are you? How are you arranging it? I mean, for instance, what are you doing in Orlando? Are you, have you already picketed somewhere, or are you moving on to that, or what's next?
Actually, when we get done talking to you, we're going to go and pull out a bunch of our posters. And we're just going to plaster downtown Orlando with them, for one thing.
Great.
Every other lamppost is probably going to have a poster on it.
Good.
Now, admittedly, I was afraid to pack the Mod Podge on the bike because I was afraid it would blow up because the bike gets hot.
Right.
So we're going to end up using purple duct tape.
My God. They're reporting people to the police in Scotland for doing that type of thing. So it's a good thing you're not in Scotland.
Honestly, if they do that in America, make my day. Arrest me for it.
So how far are you through it? How many stops have you done so far?
Actually, this is the beginning of the ride.
Oh, I see. Okay, so you're just setting out.
Today is the very first day. It took us 2 or 3 days just to get here to start this thing. Traffic's crazy. It's Memorial Day weekend.
I was going to ask what kind of reactions you're getting, but I guess it's too early to know that. But it seems to me from what the I can't remember his name. Excuse me. I think it's John, the Canadian guy who does a similar thing, protests gender clinics.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. He had his arm broken.
Yes, he did by trans rights activists. But in general, it seems that when you meet people on the street, they're a lot. They understand the issue and they're all on our side. It's only in the weird world of the internet where people seem to believe that lesbians can have penises.
Actually, that's so true. Oh my goodness! Quick story. At one of the hotels we stayed at, 4 doors down from us, there was a lady looking for her kids, or not her kids, but she helps anyway. I start talking to her, find out that her 27-year-old son was trans-identified, and he had accessed black market estrogen and was shooting it up.
Yeah.
He got it off the internet.
Oh, it's apparently very easy. It's apparently very easy to do so.
The heartbreaking thing is that, there's no chance for that young man to come back because he's dead.
No, what happened?
He got sick. I don't know how much of it could be attributed to taking wrong sex hormones and destroying your body, but I do know that he got an infection and ended up getting sick and he died.
Wow.
And I don't know of the connections, but what got me was this beautiful woman had been supporting the LGBTQIA whatever for years. And she was stunned. She had no idea that lesbians are no longer welcome in our own community.
Yeah.
She had no idea. And she's like, but why? I said, because we're lesbians. We're only attracted to women. And then she tried to understand. She's like, but if they identify as a woman, doesn't that make them a lesbian? And I'm like, no. Men are men, and that can't change. And honestly, it's okay for them to dress however they want. Be who they are. I do. You don't ever see me wearing women's clothing. Well, unless they actually fit. But like today, I gave in and I've got these corduroys that I really love. But they don't have any pockets. Women's clothes have no pockets. They don't understand. We use pockets too, people.
Yeah. I know. I mean, the craziest thing about all of this is sometimes that I think people on the other side think that we, gender critical people are actually gender conforming, whereas it's like, what you got Generation Z who think they invented short hair on women. It's just bizarre, But did you see? You may not have. I am shocked to see this, so I'm going to bring it up wherever I can, and I hope that Jewish gender critical people are bringing attention to this, like Rosa Friedman and others. Bev, I think, of the LGBT Alliance in the UK is Jewish. But Nancy Kelly of Stonewall just compared gender critical beliefs, which we know is basically just reality, to anti-Semitism. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. This movement is not a civil rights movement. And so what they do is they appropriate every civil rights movement other than their own. The LGB, that was their first opening gambit, was they took over the LGB. Mm-hmm. So that the whole world thinks that they're supporting the LGB by supporting these ideologies. And they're not. The world needs to understand that that's why LGBT Alliance exists. That's why LGBT Fight Back in America exists. That's why Get the L Out in the UK exists. Because LGBs, lesbians like me, we will not stand silent. Well, I mean, it took me 58 years, Graham, to come out and be myself. And when I finally did, I was told I have to date men. Are you kidding me? No.
Why come out? Why come out at all if you have to be straight?
Why bother if you got to be straight anyway? Actually, what I noticed was that they have decided that there is only one moral sexuality, and that is pansexual. And so what that does is that actually puts heterosexuals and homosexuals in the same boat. We are both considered immoral. Think about that one.
I know, it's extraordinary. And if people think we're exaggerating, another central outlier, as I call them, Rachel McKinnon, who's now known as Veronica Ivy, said that pansexuality was the only moral sexuality, something like that.
Right.
And said that, and the brilliant thing was he said it to a gay activist over here, and the gay activist agreed, ended up apologizing for his homosexuality. Extraordinary.
Gaslighting 101.
It really is. Listen, can I just say, Skylar, I don't know, but when you move around, there's a clicking and shuffling noise. I don't know if your microphone is attached to something that's rubbing off something. Just be a little bit aware of that, maybe, and just hold it out. Yeah, that might help. Did
that make a difference?
I think it might. I don't know. You have to move around, then I'll know. Yeah, okay.
It was rubbing on beads.
Right. So can I ask, is there an increased awareness in the States now over what's happening? Are people beginning to realize that something's up? I mean, the reason I ask is because I always felt that something, as soon as Trump left the picture, that people would wake up to how insane the left have suddenly become. Has that happened to any degree?
I do not think yet. The fact that Biden's first move out the gate was to remove what rights we thought we had, that is waking some people up. But honestly, that's why I'm doing this ride. Yeah. Because we have to take it to the streets. Every person I meet on the street does not understand what is happening here. And so the ride is an awareness campaign. Yeah. And I want to stress, because I know that people will misinterpret what we are doing. And I'm a grandmother and I love deeply. That is my superpower. My superpower is my heart. It really is. It's all I got going for me, people. As I love enough. I love enough to care enough to get on that bike 61 and travel this country on it. Yeah. I would have preferred to have been in the car because I'm old. But honestly, a lot of the ride is a calling out. I am calling out to all of the young butch women and girls worldwide and telling them all, be your real authentic self. You cannot be authentic if you are cutting off healthy body parts. You cannot be authentic if you are taking drugs to change your body to something you think it's supposed to be. Real authenticity is simply accepting ourselves in the body we are born with and just being who we are. You will never see me in a dress. I would burn it first. but it doesn't mean I'm a man.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I'm just a woman that likes to wear men's things or what they sell for men. I'm a woman that likes to do things that people think that are manly, which is ridiculous. Any of it is sex stereotypes on steroids.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all it is.
It's extremely conformist, isn't it?
It is. It is. I've never seen anything like it. I actually dubbed them the first fundamental church of gendered souls.
Yeah. Well, that's
honestly,
that's the comparison we make over here. You know, I as I often say to people, I grew up with the priesthood, and I know what it's like in Ireland, and I know what it's like when religious people have an iron hold over society, and this is a religion with an iron hold over society. I mean, it's going to take a lot to break the grip. You know,
the problem is, it's not even just a religion. When you have a religion that uses tactics of control and mental manipulation, then you're looking at a cult.
Yeah. Yes.
And they do use cult tactics. One of my favorite stickers is an Orwell quote, love is hate, ignorance is strength, and all this, and then, trans women are women at the bottom, because obviously they're not. I was in a very abusive relationship for a very long time, and I recognized those tools. And what this movement is doing, they are not only gaslighting the general public, but they're abusing them. They are using tactics of abuse on everyone. Yeah. And it's the way to keep us all in control, to make us feel guilty. I mean, all of these, if you look at that circle wheel of power and control for sexual violence and domestic violence, every single tactic on there, we're fixing to make it, and we're going to turn it into basically, I don't know what we call it, gender ideology wheel of power and control, maybe.
Oh yeah, send that to me, because I think that's a very interesting point. I know that Darvo is a favorite tactic used by abusers, and it means, just to explain to people who don't know, it means deny, attack, reverse, victim, and offender. So it means that basically, first of all, you say that it's like, let's take the abuse meted against J.K. Rowling. First of all, you say that the abuse is not happening. Then you abuse her for being J.K. Rowling. Then you say that the real people suffering are the people that J.K. Rowling has somehow hurt. It's an extraordinary, and it's extraordinary to see it play out every single time. Right. These people, they'll harass and intimidate women, and then as soon as you call them out on it, they'll say they're being bullied. Joanne Harris over here in the UK is an example. They are just shameless in doing this.
Right. It baffles the mind. But it is very sneaky. There's analogies that, like, if you put a frog in cold water and slowly turn up the heat, it will sit there and boil because it does not recognize it. And that is what gaslighting and these techniques do. Yes. People have no idea. They sit there and think that they're being wonderful and progressive and loving because they're trying to accept this insanity. And it is insanity. When our government tells us that a man can become a woman simply by saying, I am a woman, that's insanity. Period.
Yeah. And it's right that you liken it with the Orwell quote, because those kinds of statements in the Orwell book are reversals of the truth, right? They're just simple reversals. And what I don't think people, I don't think people in the wider world realize is that the words trans women are women, in other words, men are women, is such a bold reversal of the truth that it actually makes everything harder it makes the truth harder to find, it makes the truth harder to say, and the people who suffer are ordinary powerless people. Like they're the ones who are suffering the most. If you look at, for instance, when Jessica Yaniv, Yaniv, Jonathan Yaniv went after those women of color who were very, immigrants who were.
He went after all of the ethnic spa places to make them touch his genitalia.
Yes, and this is the person who the left are now supporting over the women, And Laurel Hubbard, who is the son of a billionaire, is now competing against women,
indigenous women
in weightlifting. Like, it's just basically a perfect inversion of what the world should be. And I think that, I think you're like me in that you just can't bear it. It's too insane. It makes it too hard to live your life.
Watching, what I did one day, it could have been a mistake. I don't know, but I went to some of these places that are cutting off our women's breast, and they have what they call their success stories, and they have these photos of before and after. And all they have are numbers under these people. And they're, and it'd be like number 429, and it would show before and after. And one thing I noticed, as a woman, it was more apparent to me that the majority of the women that are removing their breasts, they have breasts that are either large enough that men are going to put them through hell simply because they have boobs. Oh my God, you got boobs. Or they have breasts that men would make fun of.
Really? Yeah.
Men do. They make fun of our breasts if they are not shaped just the way these men think they should be shaped. These little perfect round globy things. No, we're human people, they're breasts. But anyway, I think that this is more. It's not a civil rights movement, it's a self-hate movement.
Yes.
They hate them, they hate their bodies. I hated my body. I had a hate relationship with my body for decades. Half a century. I was an anorexic bulimic for 7 years. If they affirmed when I was 100 pounds, if they had looked at me and said, yes, you weigh 400 pounds, just because you look in a mirror and that's what you see. If they had affirmed that, I would be dead. We cannot fix body problems.
Wait, hold on a sec, Skylar.
Surgeries and actual physical stuff. What they did was Sorry,
Skylar, it just cut out there a little bit. What did you say? We cannot what?
We cannot address body dysmorphia. I don't know why I'm cutting out. Does that help? Can you hear me?
No, it's not a sound thing. It's the signal. You sometimes it goes a bit, but it's only for a second. So, we'll just reverse and go back.
We're in a hotel.
Yeah. No, it's okay.
Right.
It's not too bad. It just every so often goes out.
I gotcha. All right. So when it does, we'll just repeat it.
We cannot address body dysmorphia
via medical means. It's a psychological problem. If a guy goes in because he thinks he's missing half of his leg, they will not cut off his leg. But these women that go in saying their breasts don't belong there, they'll cut them off.
Yes.
Come on.
Here's an interesting story. Malcolm Clark, who is one of the people behind the LGBT Alliance in the UK, he used to be a science TV documentary maker. And he once did a documentary that I remember because it was so shocking about people who believed that they needed to get their leg cut off and, exactly what you're talking about. And they did it for a few people. And as soon as they did it, these people realized they'd made a terrible mistake. And it cured them of their dysphoria in the sense that they realized
in the worst way possible.
They shouldn't cut off their legs. But what Malcolm was saying that I find very interesting is that the treatment for dysphoria of cutting off a body part, the only place it survives is in this area of medicine. I mean, I call it an area of medicine, but it's
criminal medical malpractice.
It's a perversion of medicine, and these
it is a perversion of medicine. I like that.
Yeah, these doctors should be in jail. They should be in jail. So it's interesting that in this one area, this discredited technique still has a hold over people, isn't it?
That's because they have put a new face on it.
Yeah.
They put a new face on it, like it's some kind of a actual health care. And there are, trillions behind this movement. Yes. See, they have a lot of money, and they've purchased whole governments. You cannot tell me that President Biden actually thinks that Bruce Jenner is a woman. You can't tell me anybody on this planet actually thinks Bruce Jenner is a woman.
I think even Bruce Jenner is quite relaxed on that score. I'm quite happy to see Bruce standing up for women's sports, for instance. Catherine.
But he only stood up for them as far as until you get out of high school. So okay,
oh, really?
It sounded like it. It sounded like what he was saying was that boys shouldn't be competing in girls' sports in school. And I'm like, well, if they shouldn't be competing in girls' sports, and that's the other thing, and I think it's important to address it. We cannot use their language. I never use trans woman simply because they are no kind of woman. I never use trans girl. They are no kind of girl. Just use men and boys. Let's get it simple, because that's what they are. Reality is essential in this, and it's like you mentioned, it's almost impossible to find anymore. While I have you, I would like to put kind of a call out to a couple of things. Magdalene Burns YouTube channel. This is a tribute. This whole ride is my tribute to Magdalene Burns.
Oh, that's that's great. Yeah.
Because if it wasn't for her, when I came out and I went to World Pride and I went to the lesbian Her Story panel, all excited about it. I'm in a wheelchair, and I'm thinking I'm going to learn something about being a lesbian because I'm a new baby lesbian. I'm 58 years old, don't have a clue. And I pull up in there, and the panel was 4 men.
Yeah.
Not one lesbian on the lesbian Her Story panel. And the thing is this was World Pride in New York City, which was the first time World Pride had ever come to America. So it was very huge. And they had a 2-day human rights conference from 9 to 5 for 2 days. I mean, it was massive. Yeah. And they had this one session for lesbians. And it was all men.
That's extraordinary.
I would like to point out that the trans-identified man, hang on. Yes, that was in 2019. Joy helps me a lot. That's one of the things she does. She helps me to keep track because my brain doesn't. So where were we?
We were talking about, the date you went to that conference.
Right. Here's the thing. Halfway through, this young man says, I wait for the day that everyone is either trans or gender fluid.
Yeah.
When they tell you their plan, do not ignore them. This is a takeover. You know, this is not a civil rights movement.
Well, I often say it's one of my favorite things. But everything after LGB means straight. Like that's basically everything after LGB means straight, and it's just a dressed up, makeup wearing, glitter kind of encrusted version of straight people. You know, and it's
sparkly straight people.
Sparkly straight people, exactly. That's a great way of putting it. So listen, Skylar, you're in Orlando today. How long are you staying in Orlando?
We are going to go and picket Spectrum Gender Clinic.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure that they're closed. So what we ordered some massive vinyl posters of our smaller flyers, and we're gonna go tack it to their window and take some pictures. And then we're gonna pick it.
Good.
And we're postering, and then we're actually just getting on the motorcycle and heading to the next site, which is Jacksonville.
I love that.
And we'll be there tonight. And
you're
then
walking the earth
tomorrow.
You're walking the earth, like
we're riding
like
it.
walking the earth, like but what I mean is like in Pulp Fiction. At the end of Pulp Fiction, Jules says he's going to walk the earth like Kung Fu or the Hulk, where you go into every town, have an adventure, and then leave. So that sounds perfect. Skylar, you know this. I could not be more impressed. I am so glad for you that you're doing this. I think it's a wonderful thing you're doing, and the fact you're doing it for Magdalene Burns, who is an absolute hero. I'll send this video to Liz, her sister, because she'll be delighted too.
We are her legacy.
Yeah. No,
she told us to keep fighting. She said, whether I exist or not, there is hope.
Yeah.
And
well, I just thank you for keeping her memory alive and rock on. No, that's not. What do you say to people who are on a motorbike? Roll on? I don't know.
Actually, you just say "see in the wind."
See in the wind. Oh my God! I wish I'd known about that before we started. See in the wind, Skylar. You're an absolute hero.
Now, the other thing I want to tell you is Partners for Ethical Care.
Oh, sorry. Okay, that was my sign off, but we can keep going.
Yeah, we got to, because we got to cover Partners for Ethical Care.
Okay.
They know what they are doing. Those people, they know what's going on. Mm-hmm. If you want to understand what is happening to our children, go to partnersforethicalcare.com, hopefully. Just Google it. It's easy to find.
Don't worry, Skylar. If you send all these links to my friend Jen, who set this up, we can get them into the YouTube description.
Thanks. I am really grateful for what you're doing, Graham.
Well, I am brilliant. I am brilliant. Let's face it.
Yes, you are flipping brilliant, dude.
Skylar, is there anything else that you would like to add? No. Well, in that case,
hey, interview me as we go across the country. Do segments.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. We'll see. We'll drop in. And how long does it take, the whole thing from top to tail?
It's going to be 2 months. Can you hold just a minute? What?
You haven't mentioned women's prisons yet.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Okay.
The other thing that we are picketing is women's prisons. Any of them that we can get to.
Right.
Because they are putting men in jail cells with women, and many of them are convicted rapists, and we're just not going to tolerate this. I looked at it, and what that is what do they call that? Inhuman. What is cruel and unusual punishment?
Yeah.
And when you look at it, what we are seeing is Americans torturing Americans in our prisons. This is torture. A woman in California tried to kill herself because they told her she had to have a man in her cell, and she begged them not to in a really nice way because she was traumatized. They handcuffed her, put her in disciplinary segregation, treated her like she was being a violent whatever, and she tried to kill herself.
That's
the world needs to know this is happening. What other choice did that woman have? What other choice did she have? She's locked in a cell. She has no right. She has nothing. And then they're going to say, oh, we're going to lock you in there with a convicted rapist. What other option does she have than to kill herself?
Can you send that link as well? And we'll post that in the YouTube, I think, the news story, because I'd like to try and bring more attention to that one. I hadn't heard of that.
Somebody got a message out from a prison, and I'll try and find it. We have some, basically we've got a lot of underground things going on that people don't know about because we have to. We don't have a choice.
Well, didn't the ACLU try and block the information of how many males were in female
I think they're
prisons?
still blocking it. I don't know if we've gotten access to those numbers yet. And the thing
Extraordinary.
is, oh, you might want to know that who was it? Arcus?
Oh
What
yeah,
is it?
they left Stonewall. Yeah.
Well, no, there was.
Oh
There
no,
was big,
Arcus. Sorry, Arcus is the big group big right wing group that actually
They're the-
funds Stonewall, don't they?
yes, they have given the ACLU $15 million.
What? That's extraordinary.
Our our civil rights organizations are bought and paid for now.
Yeah.
They don't work for civil rights. Back in the day, I went to the ACLU because they tried to make me wear a dress to give a speech in college. And I told, they were going to flunk me. And I said, no. And so I went to the ACLU and they said, oh yeah, we got your back. You don't have to wear a dress. No, just go tell the president that we're going to come after him. And so I did. And so I didn't have to wear the dress. But now, if I went to the ACLU for my rights, the ones that are more important than the dress, the ones that say, don't allow men in my shower, don't allow men in my bathroom, don't allow men in my rape shelters, don't allow men in my domestic violence shelters.
Mm-hmm.
Because, we'll die. I never got to a rape shelter. I never got to the rape shelter.
Mm-hmm.
But I did get to the domestic violence shelter.
Yeah.
If I had walked into a domestic violence shelter and seen a man behind the desk, I would have turned around and walked back out, and I probably would have killed myself at that point because I was so desperate.
Yeah.
Women, when we get to these places, we're desperate.
Yeah.
And we have
absolutely.
men that it's a fetish. They want to sit there and they want to hear these rape stories. They want to sit there and be the intake person so they can hear the rape stories. And we're not going to tell men our rape stories. You don't deserve them. You don't deserve them.
Skylar,
tell women our rape stories. Sorry.
Yeah.
She told me to calm down.
You don't have to apologize. You don't have to apologize. It is an insult. But I have to say, Skylar, I feel a little bit more confident with people like you fighting for us. When I say fighting for us, I mean fighting for everybody who doesn't agree with this horrific, misogynistic, homophobic, this insulting, irrational nonsense. So thank you for doing what you're doing, and
Thank you.
And see you in the wind. Yeah, you see, there we go.
It works, right?
I'll remember that next time. Bye-bye, Skylar. Lovely to talk to you.
Thank you so much, Graham.
See you soon.
It's
Bye-bye.
good to see you.
Safe travels.
Bye.